There's a window of time about 5 years before you retire that may be the most important phase of your entire financial life. It's when the stakes are high, the timeline is short, and small decisions can have massive long-term impact. But here's the problem. Most people spend those years either winging it or just hoping that everything they say will somehow work out. And that's when the mistakes happen. The truth is, the 5 years before retirement, especially if you're planning to retire around age 65, can either set you up for lifelong confidence or lead to stress, overspending, and tax surprises that can be hard to reverse. Hi, I'm Mark Wisniewski, President of Southern Incomes. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most critical moves to make in the 5 years before retirement. We'll cover what to adjust, what to protect, and how to prepare so that when that time comes, you're going to be ready. If you find this helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. Now, let's dive in. Part 1, lock in your retirement spending number, not a guess. The first and most important step to take during that 5-year retirement window is this. Get clear on how much you're actually going to need to spend. Not a guess, not a ballpark, a real number based on the lifestyle that you want, and of course, the costs that are going to come with that. Because here's what I see far too often. People spend 30 and 40 years saving and investing, but they never actually map out what retirement is going to cost them month by month by month. And that's a problem because without that clarity, you're building a plan built around hope. There's no precision. So how do you calculate your retirement spending? Start with your current lifestyle. What are you spending today? What expenses will disappear once you stop working? Commuting, payroll taxes, professional dues. On the other side, what's going to be added? Traveling, hobbies, healthcare premiums before Medicare. Next, think in phases. Spending often isn't flat in retirement. Early retirement, age 60 to 70, tends to be more active and more expensive for you. Middle retirement, that's usually going to start leveling out, and then late retirement may bring increased healthcare costs. Now, add in some flexibility. I recommend separating expenses into essentials and discretionary. Essentials are your housing, food, insurance. Discretionary is your traveling, entertainment, dining out. This gives you room to adjust if the market shift or your goals evolve. Why this matters. The clearer you are about your spending needs, the more confidently you can build an income plan to match that. And the less likely you are to overspend, underspend, or make some kind of tax inefficient decision out of fear. Because retirement shouldn't be about constantly checking your account balances. It should be about living your life with a plan that's designed to support it. Part 2, stress test your portfolio and protect the first 5 years of income. So once you've locked in what you need to spend, the next step is protecting your ability to keep spending no matter what the markets do. Because the 5 years before retirement and the first 5 years after are what we call the retirement danger zone. Here's why. If your portfolio drops early in retirement and you're forced to sell investments at a loss to meet your income needs, you're not just taking a hit from the market, you're compounding that loss by withdrawing at the worst possible time. And that damage can be very, very hard to recover from. So, how do we protect you? We start by stress testing your plan. That means running your retirement income strategy through the worst case scenarios. What if the market drops 20% right after you retire? What if that inflation rate goes up and stays higher than expected? What if you live in your 90s or you live past 100? Then we make sure your first 3 to 5 years of retirement income are not overly reliant on the markets. That could mean holding cash or conservative assets to cover those early withdrawals, using a bucket strategy to separate short-term income from long-term growth, or blending in a guaranteed income source like a pension, your annuities, or your Social Security to cover essentials. The goal is simple. You want to start retirement with confidence that your income is protected, even if the market doesn't cooperate with you. That way, you're not reacting to headlines. You're following a plan and you're letting your long-term investments recover while your lifestyle stays nice and steady. In the next section, I'll walk you through one of the most overlooked strategies, how to manage taxes and withdrawals during this window before RMDs and Social Security kick in. Would you like me to continue with part 3? Use the tax window before age 73, and possibly age 70. Part 3, use the tax window before age 73 and possibly age 70. There's a hidden opportunity in the 5 years before you retire, and especially in the first few years after you stop working, but before you start required minimum distributions or claim Social Security. It's called the tax window, and if you use it wisely, it could lead to meaningful tax savings over time, depending on your tax bracket and your overall withdrawal strategy. So, what is this tax window? It's that stretch of time when your wages have stopped and you haven't started Social Security, and you're not yet forced to withdraw from your IRAs or your 401ks, which means for many people, your taxable income is lower than it's been in decades. But if you're not intentional about how you use that window, you could miss out on some of the most powerful tax planning opportunities that you're going to see in retirement. Here's what we do during this window. Strategic Roth conversions. We move money from your traditional IRA into your Roth IRA while you're in that lower tax bracket. That way, you pay taxes now at a reduced rate, you lock in future tax-free growth, and you reduce future RMDs, which could have pushed you into higher tax brackets later. We don't guess. We calculate exactly how much to convert based on your brackets, your income, and Medicare premiums. Realize capital gains at 0% or 15%. If your taxable income is low enough, you might be able to sell appreciated investments and pay 0 or reduced capital gains tax, all the while rebalancing your portfolio. This is especially useful for people with large taxable brokerage accounts or legacy positions that they've wanted to diversify from. Fill up your tax brackets intentionally. Rather than let unused low tax brackets go to waste, we may start to strategically fill them using Roth conversions, taxable withdrawals, or other controlled income. This helps you smooth your tax liability across retirement instead of it spiking later when your RMDs hit or when both spouses start claiming Social Security. Why it matters. Once you hit age 73, RMDs begin. Once you start Social Security, your taxable income usually jumps. So the tax flexibility you have now, it's temporary, and it can be a valuable planning opportunity when used strategically. If you use it wisely, you can lower your lifetime tax bill, increase your tax-free income, and build more control into your income plan. In the next section, I'll show you how to evaluate your healthcare coverage and Medicare timing, so you're not surprised by gaps or penalties all of a sudden at age 65. Would you like me to continue with Part 4, Plan for Healthcare and Medicare before age 65? Hits you. Part 4, Plan for Healthcare and Medicare before age 65 hits you. One of the biggest and most misunderstood expenses that you're going to see in retirement is healthcare. And if you're planning to retire at or near age 65, you need to be proactive, not reactive, because mistakes here can cost you thousands in premiums, penalties, or gaps in coverage. Here's what I walk every client through during that 5-year window. Understand the Medicare timeline. Medicare eligibility begins at age 65, but the enrollment window starts earlier. So you have a 7-month window to sign up. 3 months before your 65th birthday, the month of your 65th birthday, and 3 months after. If you miss this window and you don't have qualified coverage through an employer, you could face lifetime penalties on your Medicare premiums. Don't assume you'll keep employer coverage. If you're planning to retire before 65, you'll need bridge coverage, possibly through COBRA, a spouse's plan. You can go to the ACA marketplace, or you might have a private policy. This can be one of the most expensive gaps in retirement if not planned for, especially if you have pre-existing condition, some kind of ongoing prescriptions. And if you're retiring right at 65, you'll want to coordinate your final month of work with your Medicare enrollment so that there's no gap between your employer coverage ending and Medicare starting. Evaluate Medicare Parts A, B, D, and supplemental. Medicare isn't a one-size-fits-all. You'll need to decide between original Medicare with Medigap Supplement Plan and Part D, or Medicare Advantage, which combines coverage, but it's going to limit your provider network. Once your choice affects your monthly premiums, out-of-pocket costs, access to doctors and hospitals, and your overall flexibility stability down the road. Some choices may be difficult to reverse, especially if your health changes later in retirement. That's why the 5-year window is the perfect time to compare your plan options, estimate costs, and decide whether to build a healthcare buffer into your income plan. Watch out for IRMAA. If your income in retirement is too high, you may pay more for Medicare Parts B and D, a surcharge that's called IRMAA, Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. But here's the good news. With smart withdrawals and Roth conversion strategies, like we talked about already in Part 3, you can reduce, or get this, avoid these surcharges entirely. Bottom line, Medicare is complex, but it's also manageable if you plan ahead. Don't wait until you're already 65 and start scrambling to figure out enrollment. In the next section, I'll walk you through one of the most emotional and underrated parts of retirement planning. What to do about your identity, routine, purpose once those paychecks stop. Part 5, redesign your lifestyle, not just your finances. Most people spend their final 5 years focused on the numbers. Can I afford to retire? Will I run out of money? How much do I need each month? And those are important questions. But here's what I've learned after working with retirees for over 2 decades. It's not just the financial transition that matters. It's the emotional and lifestyle shift that really catches people off guard. Because when the paychecks stop and the Monday morning meetings are gone and there's no more routine built around work, many retirees ask themselves, now what? Here's what I encourage every client to do during their 5-year window. Start designing your ideal week. Retirement isn't just about not working. It's the freedom to build the life you've always wanted, but that only works if you're intentional. Ask yourself, how do I want to spend my mornings? What relationships do I really want to invest in? What goals, hobbies, or unfinished projects are going to matter to me 5 years from now? You don't need all the answers now, but the sooner you start thinking about it, the more fulfilling your transition will feel. Practice mini retirement moments. Don't wait until your last day of work to start exploring a new rhythm. Start taking longer weekends. Try out new hobbies. Take a day each month to unplug and simulate what retirement could feel like. You might learn that you love the quiet, or that you'll need more structure and connection than you expected. Either way, this is the time to experiment, not guess. Talk to your spouse or family about lifestyle expectations. One of the biggest friction points I see is misaligned expectations between partners. One spouse wants to travel, and the other wants to stay close to home. One wants to volunteer, and the other just wants to relax. The 5-year window is the perfect time to start talking about your shared vision. That way, your financial plan supports the life that you both actually want, not 2 separate dreams. Why this matters: retirement isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of something new. But if you only prepare financially and not personally, you may find yourself financially secure, but without a clear sense of purpose or really any direction. In the final section, I'll help you bring it all together with a recap and a clear call to action. So let's recap. If you're within 5 years of retirement, especially around age 65, this is your window. And what you do during this time can shape not just your finances, but your freedom, your lifestyle, and your peace of mind for decades to come. Here's what I encourage every client to focus on. 1, lock in your retirement spending number. Not a guess, but a real number with lifestyle clarity. 2, stress test your portfolio and protect those first 5 years of income from any kind of market risk. 3, use your tax window, especially between retirement and RMDs, to reduce lifetime taxes. 4, plan your Medicare timeline so you don't face coverage gaps, IRMAA surcharges, or even penalties. 5, redesign your lifestyle so you don't just leave your job, you step into something meaningful and intentional. Retirement isn't a finish line, it's a transition. And those 5 years before it are your chance to get it right. If you want help building a plan that integrates all of this, income, taxes, healthcare, and lifestyle, book a complimentary call with me using a link in the description. We'll walk through your numbers, pressure test your timeline, and help you retire with clarity, not just optimism. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark Wisniewski, and I'll see you in the next video.